What's happening, responsible day traders? Today is Sunday, May 8th, 2022. I am Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. So, it's been a little bit of a wild ride. We are really testing those limits at whether or not this market is going to start making a huge downward trend, or if we're just going to hit this area and move back up to the upside. I'm going to be honest with you. My personal opinion is that we're going to be pushing through this area, moving down, but it's holding, and that's a pretty good sign so far. So let's go ahead and check out the news. All right, so we're going to head over here to responsibledaytrading.com. We're going to go to news, market news, and we're going to check out what we got for this week. Last week, it proved to have a bit of a reaction to the FOMC. So let's see, this week, not a lot going on. Nothing on Monday, Tuesday, after market opens around 11 a.m. Central Time. So we might want to keep an eye on that just if things start to slow down to really understand why. Wednesday, we have some pre-market, and then about an hour after market opens, and then Thursday pre-market. So it's a pretty quiet week this week. Let's go ahead and see what we got going in the market right now. So the first thing we want to look at is our daily chart. And this is this chart that we see right here. Now, looking at this is why I think we have a really good chance at this pushing down further. But there's a couple of factors that may hold up the party. So number one is look how we're at this major extreme area of MACDs. So that's something that might hold up the party a little bit, which means all it really has to do is give a pretty good pullback, give these MACDs a little bit of a run up and room to run back to the downside. Now, if we're looking at what's happening though, as we're really looking at the patterns, everything that's moving and happening here, we came down, we made a lower low than we had previously. We pulled back up, hard close down. That is a big sign of a reversal pattern. Very weak retracement in the MACDs. We can see the EMAs really starting to open up to the downside now. They had given it a little bit of a run here, but here we can start to see the separation that shows the opening up of the EMAs to the downside. Now, obviously, we'll see pullbacks into the area, and I would expect to see a pullback around to this 4,200 area before we get another really deep push down. But guys, we don't have to. We can see these MACDs are not only pulling outside of the Bollinger Bands, but they're doing it with purple BBs. And that means a lot of strength down. So if they were pulling outside and they were white, like we've seen here and how they're lightening here, then I might expect it to just kind of hang out here and pull back up. But these BBs are not only strong down, but they're strong and they're the darker color, which says we have some strength in the move to the downside. Now, that can start to change, that can pull back up into here. Now, what we may see, because we had a pretty big start, and we'll look at that in just a moment, is during the day, this BB lose the momentum, pull back up, and hang out around right here. So it's hard to tell at the beginning of the day what that BB is going to do. Right now, it shows strength and momentum. But by the end of the day, this BB could kind of crunch up like it did right here, pull back in, and then we start to see the movement back to the upside. And as I said, we're at this extreme area in the MACDs, and we don't see hitting those areas that often without getting a really decent pullback and retracement. So let's go ahead and pull up the 28,657, which is my next biggest chart. Now, I don't trade this chart. I use it specifically to see what's just going on in the market. And we'll go ahead and put that away so we can just look at this chart nice and clear. So we really just want to see patterns. We want to see what kind of momentum we have going on. And this also has a little bit of a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other look to it. And here's a couple of things going on. Okay, you can see we pulled right back down to this last area that we hit a couple of days ago. And what it looks like it's trying to do is create a reversal bar. If we're going to see an actual reversal bar, we want to see this BB or this dot close at or above the previous days or the previous bar, because this isn't a day chart. This is the 28,657. So if this BB pulls up and it closes up higher, we're going to have a nice long reversal bar like we saw here. And the fact that the MACDs are sitting at the Bollinger Band is also a pretty decent sign. We had a little bit of a gap in the opening today too, just a really small one. Typically we tend to see those gaps close, but this is a pretty small gap opening, so it may or may not close it. But the fact that the MACDs are just leading higher every time we pull down here is not a bad sign. We'd want to see this BB slow and roll. And when I say slow and roll, we're going to want to see it kind of pull back in and start to show us the potential for this to move up if this close is going to happen up here or higher. And also in a flag bar reversal pattern, which is what we're talking about the potential for happening here, kind of like it did right here. The third bar is a big portion in that. So the third bar would need to start moving towards the upside and closing towards the upside to really give us that, oh yeah, this is going to start moving to the upside feel. So let's go ahead and just look at our trading charts. So these are the three trading charts that I tend to use: the 10946, 1597, and the 233. You can interchange them with the 4181 and the 610 if you want a little less quick movement. But even right now, you can see each one of these bars are pretty long on the 233. So if we have a 610 tick chart, it's really going to put our risk in a bigger area. We're going to really need to think more about where that risk is going to be, and we're going to have to risk a little bit more. That's why I don't actually put my trades in on the 1597, because if I can put them on in the 233, it'll allow me to have much, much lower risk seeing the pattern show me that it's going to move in that direction after it's already starting to show the setup on the 1597. So let's talk about what's happened. So we did have a little bit of a gap opening. You can see right here, only about 4 points. So that's not something huge that everybody's going to be fighting to close. If we'd had a 10, 20, 30 point drop, then yeah, we would definitely see this price action make a smooth run back up to that area to close that gap. Now, what we're seeing on the 10946 is, you can see we've come down, we've overrun this little area, this area just by a little bit. And what's happening with our MACDs, but they're starting to get lighter. So this is another thing that is giving me a little bit more confidence when we look at something like the 28657 sitting at the bottom Bollinger Band, or when we look at something like the daily chart reaching an area that it's struggling to make new lows beyond. So these are all signals that even though it's still showing some strength to the downside right now before the market opens, this may give us a decent pullback. Now, a decent pullback doesn't mean that we're going to get back above the EMAs and start looking for this movement to the upside. But it says if you're looking to take a short right here, right now, you may want to think twice about it, because our MACDs are starting to pick up to the upside on our 1597, which is showing a decent pullback potential. Now we'd want to see the price get back above this particular area right here and start to really show us some movement to the upside. Maybe something more along the lines of coming up, coming back down, and then exceeding this area right here. So, and then typically what would we see? Pull back into it and then movement back to the upside. Now, if we really want to see this market move to the upside, if we're really thinking that this may start changing and giving us momentum to the upside, these are more of the areas that we're going to need to start breaking through. Not this little tiny intermittent area. We really want to see it push through those areas and get back above, pull back into them. Another thing is pulling back into them. We always see it move and pull back into an area. So it makes it an area of resistance at first and then breaks through, pulls back into it as support. So it just gives us great areas that we can use whenever we're thinking about where our risk should go, or where we're looking for entries and exits as we're navigating through the market. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. So as we can see, you always want to pay attention to what the market's telling you. It may tell us that it's giving us some immediate direction to the downside, but paying attention and saying, okay, what's the overall telling me? When's it going to give me this pullback? Where am I looking for it to pull back to in order to keep low risk and know that we have a higher probability of it going in that direction? Those are things we always want to keep on our minds. So that's going to wrap it up for this Sunday night. Guys, I want to wish everybody out there a wonderful week. Y'all, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there and all you mother traders. I'm proud of you. I know it's a lot of work to maintain a household and maintain a good, consistent trading. Not just for mothers. I know it is a big job for everyone. So I'm here for you. If you've got questions, definitely reach out to us, because that's what we're here for, to help you learn how to be a responsible day trader. That really makes a huge difference in what you see in your performance. Responsibility is key, guys. All right, have a wonderful week, everybody. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.